The first standing pose that we're going to learn is called Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. And it looks like this. Now, this is the more advanced version of this pose, and it's totally fine if you can't get into that pose right away and do all of those elements. That's totally fine. We're going to do the basics, but I just wanted you to have an idea as to how this version of the pose, the more advanced version of the pose, looks like, so you have some sort of a objective to strive towards. So how do we get into this pose? Remember the mountain pose, the foundational pose of everything? Well, we're going to find ourselves by standing in a mountain pose. Raise your hands to the sky, connect them in your palms. Now, if you have any shoulder injuries, any impingements, and this doesn't feel really good, you may take an intermediate position, such as the cactus arms, or simply, if this is still a problem, have your hands on your hips. So, with this position, we are going to step sideways. So we're opening up sideways, facing the side of the mat. Now, we're also stepping wide, so probably 2-3 feet in between our feet. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn the left leg into a 90-degree angle so that the foot is facing the front of the mat. And the back leg will turn 45 degree at a 45-degree angle so that it's facing diagonally. Now you're still standing in this awkward pose, so what we're going to do next is we're going to twist our body and turn our hips so that they're facing the front of the mat. This is the most important point in this pose. Turning the hips so that instead of facing sideways, they're facing the front of the mat. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bend the front knee as much as you can. Ideally, it has to be a nice 90-degree angle. Not all people can get there right away, so find what works for you. And the other thing is, if you feel very tight, if you feel tight in your SI joint in this area, what you also want to do is widen your stance. So your feet may be standing on one line here. See if you can widen that stance, so there's a little bit more distance in between your feet. So once you found this position, bending through the knee, hips are facing forward, hands are pointing upwards. You may try to connect them and gaze upwards. This is the more advanced version. If this is too much for you, you can continue facing forward, hands in the air. Now, as you're holding this pose, there's a lot of things that are happening here. First of all, this side of the body will be screaming because you are lengthening your hip flexors, those muscles that are shortened by you sitting in front of the computer all the time. So you're lengthening those hip flexors. At the same time, your front quad is going to start burning because you are bending. So easily extend the leg to take the pressure off the quad. Another thing to watch out for, your knee may start drifting inwards because the muscles on the inside of your thigh will be overpowering the muscles on the outside of your thigh and will be driving that knee inwards. Take an effort to correct this so that your knee is facing nice and straight. Now, you're holding this pose for at most 30 seconds, maximum a minute. If you're holding this pose for a minute, you are a hero, just like this hero warrior, just like this pose is. It is very taxing and it's very demanding. To come out of this pose, you're going to extend the front knee and simply step forward into Tadasana. So let's do a quick recap. So this is what we're doing. From Tadasana, raising the hands to the sky, stepping sideways, giving ourselves a nice 3 to 4 feet width in between our feet. The front foot goes forward, 90-degree angle. The back foot 45-degree angle, maybe step it a little bit more to the side to give yourself a little bit more space, turning the hips forward, sinking through the front knee, and then the hands are reaching to the sky. Maybe they are on your hips, maybe you have them in cactus arms. Now, whatever works for you, but keep in mind, the standing poses are a good way to also improve the strength in our shoulders. So don't use the standing postures just as a way to open the hips, but also challenge yourself and start working on the shoulders. So reaching arms to the sky, cactus arms, starting to get the feel and the burning in the shoulders, driving those elbows back to the wall. And as you're holding this pose, focus on your breath, and you will notice that after a while, your breath is going to start accelerating. And when you think that is becoming too much, simply stepping forward into the mountain pose. And this is the Warrior One pose for you.